Saludos and welcome everybody to the PGP podcast. That's right, a little bit late today because we're sending you a big abrazo, a big hug from Charlotte, North Carolina. Them Tar Heels are all around us right now. This Texan, hey, Josh Tawad, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll with a blueprint. The blueprint, Todd Bloomer. We'll get to that cat right now and talk about the beautiful things that he's brought to this beautiful field, the education field, the profession that creates all the other professions. But before that, we've been hanging around together the last 2 days. I don't know if I've annoyed you or not, Mari, but what do you think so far?
Josh, oh my God, you are the best presenter, the best co-friend, buddy. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I know you're paying me $20 as soon as we're done with the show. But let me tell you, you have been a blast. This is my first conference with you. And so I want to thank you, first of all, for bringing me here and telling me about this place because guys, we're from Texas. We're both from Texas and we're in North Carolina. That just tells you how phenomenal this conference is. For them to bring people from across the country to their own state conference means so much. And I can tell you right now that there is so many people here that value the knowledge that's brought to this conference. So I'm super excited to be here. And Josh, you are amazing. You're an amazing friend, amazing buddy. And so I can't wait tomorrow. We're going to kick off the conference tomorrow. And I'm super excited that we're going to learn together because you know what? That's what we do, right? We don't learn in silos. We learn in groups. So we learn with other people. So you know what? Thank you. Un abrazo. I'm gonna hug you in a minute because you're just right next door. And so super glad to be here, sir.
She didn't want to be with me. I told her we could be in the same room. No, there's echo. But you know what? I got to say it publicly. I owe you $1. I hear the echo. So you were right. It hurts me to say that. You were right. You were right. There is an echo. Hey, so welcome everybody. Remember that we're part of the Fantastic Four. I want to a big shout out to Shika, Arcelia Austri. We were hanging around together. Tammy was nowhere around. We missed her, but you know we broke bread, and that's the beautiful thing that our podcast that is a Fantastic Four family with Coach Hurt at 10 o'clock with Tammy and Shika at 10:30, and El Jefe who will be here tomorrow at 10:55, and we're the bookend of the Fantastic Four, Mari and myself. And we broke bread, but you know what? Please use this as a vehicle. You know, one of my chinchilagua moments the other day was use this as a tool for connections because we're not alone. This is free PD for all of you, and I'm able to meet people from North Carolina. I work in a little school in North Texas, in a little city known as Garland, but I've made connections with people from Florida, North Carolina, New Jersey, from all over the United States using this platform. So remember, whenever you feel you're a little bit down, whenever you feel that you're sinking or anything, you're not alone. Use this as a vehicle for success. Use this as an avenue that you could pick up those nuggets. What do you think there, Mari?
Josh, you kind of hit it on the nose. You're absolutely right. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And you know what? I challenge everybody out there to look around to see who else can you join. And it doesn't have to be a conference. Talk to your neighboring principal, talk to your feeder principals, because that's also important too, to find out what are they doing in their school, so that when you bring your kids over, that's important to see how you're going to make those transitions. So, but you know what? It's so right, Josh, when you're out there, if you have the opportunity, and there's some cheap conferences out there. So I know there's, money is a problem right now. I get it. But you know what? There's some absolutely free PD out there. You have this podcast, but you also have some amazing leaders out there that provide, easy, affordable PD that you can easily kind of jump on and then network. Grow your PLN. You need to do that. We're not alone. We got to do this together because why reinvent the wheel? Why? Right. Just learning today, just from the featured speakers panelists that we had this, I got some nuggets right there already. So I was super excited. And guys, please, yes, no, I have the pen with the different colors on it. I have a picture of it.
I used AI. This is Josh AI right there, baby.
I
Very
love
cool.
it, Josh. I love it. You're
So,
you're 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 in a very special place in my heart, sir.
as you, I try to change things a little bit to the show viewers, listeners, and I want to start connecting people. I believe always in connecting if I have the ability. And so that's been able, I've been able to meet our guest, Todd, and his publisher, Road to Awesome, Darren Peppard. And there's a young man that I connected with in Florida. We're having some technical difficulties, but I want him to promote his book because he's such an awesome cat. He has a great spirit. And I don't know if he got over his technical difficulties. Dan, can we hear you? Ah, Pac-Man. All right, Dan, this is what we're gonna do, and this is live, guys. There's nothing rehearsed in this show whatsoever. Dan, try it, and then we'll try to reach out later on during the show, or if you want, we'll text each other so that you could come next week once you get that resolved. All right. But without further ado, let me send Dan to the very back. We have the blueprint. Who is the blueprint? We have Mr. Todd Bloomer in the house. Este señor de San Antonio, Texas, the place of the Alamo, the place of the river walk that all of you from around the country go and walk and spend $70 for a margarita. Thank you. The Texas economy. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Todd Bloomer. Thank you for being here.
Hey, what a great introduction. The passion that you guys bring is just really exciting to be a part of tonight. Josh, we've had to cancel and restart and push back times, and I'm so glad we were able to make it happen. So really, I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here tonight, like really excited to connect. I wish I was in North Carolina, good people there. I'm following along on social media. It's the beauty of social media. You talk about building your PLN, and while I'm not at the conference, I'm able to follow along at the conference because I follow y'all. I follow Darren Peppard, and I'm following the conference itself. And so if you can't make those conferences, you can follow along and you can make those connections via social media that can really help you learn. So I strongly encourage that. So great shout out to that. And lastly, as we're out there, Josh and I just, connected via social media ourselves. And it's just easy. Just give a follow, and you see people doing good stuff, and you reach out to them. And game respects game, and you reach out and you just say, "Hey, what are you doing? How are you doing this?" And Josh is one of those guys that you watch and you marvel at because he's sending birthday cards to kids and he's sending invitations to kids. And I'm happy when I'm writing my thank you notes to teachers, and I'm like, Josh, you're just stepping the game up. I got to step up, man. You're raising the bar. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Every time you send me a text about that, I go, I got to write 10 more just for that one right there.
Let's go.
All right. Without further ado, let's get started with this show. So that all of you know the way that this goes. When she asks the first question, I go to the different social media sites and I make it public for everybody. So without further ado, Dr. Moreno, take it away.
All right. I have my mic on. Okay. So Todd, it's such a pleasure to be in the same space with you because you're just so popular and you have so much knowledge that I'm super excited that you're with us today and you're able to drop all this knowledge to all of our audience out there. So let's just go ahead and for those people who don't know Todd Bloomer, Todd, let's tell the audience about yourself. Give them a brief summary of the different roles you served while in education and which one was your favorite and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. Each job I've had has been my favorite. Like that's the answer to have, right? I mean, when you're there, you got to show that caring attitude. And so 29 years in education, this will be my 29th year. I originally grew up in the great state of New York, moved to Texas out of college into Houston, taught in Houston for 4 years, met my wife, moved to San Antonio, teacher coach, assistant principal, middle school principal, high school principal. And so great varied experience, great varied roles, 25 years in the same district I've been in right now. And so it's just been a lot of fun. Shout out to David, who's jumping in right now and saying hello. So I appreciate the live chat as we're rocking and rolling from there. And so Texas in the house always. And so I've been in Texas longer than I was in New York. I consider myself a Texan. Something that's kind of unique about me is I live a mile from the campus that I serve. And all 5 of my children have graduated from there. And my HEB is their HEB. My church is their church. The park that I try to run in the morning is the park they go in. When I go down the street, the gas station, Walmart, you name it, I'm a community member. And I think that's the one of the biggest differences. And what's really made me invested, I think, is living in the community that I serve. My commute's less than 5 minutes. It's beautiful, to be able to go and do. And I love the people that I serve and have been there. So each job that I've had has been my favorite job. But currently, right now, principal of Churchill High School, 6.5 years at Churchill High School is by far my favorite job. It's I wanted to be the shortstop for the Yankees, and Derek Jeter took my spot. Wanted to be the fourth Beastie Boy, but they didn't want me. And so, the third best place is to be the principal of Churchill High School here in San Antonio.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, okay, just because we're in a middle school conference right now, so tell me about your middle school experience. Wasn't it the best?
Yeah, you know what? 4.5 years as a principal of Bradley Middle School, it probably was the sweetest place I've ever been. It was a neighborhood school where we don't have neighborhood schools really anymore. A lot of schools are built out on highways, and there's something about a neighborhood school. Moms and dads still walk their kids to school. Kids rode their bicycles to school. Really a great place. And so really my 4.5 years at Bradley Middle School was times that I cherish and I love. I had great people I worked with, great families. And then the beautiful part was it was a feeder to the high school I'm at now. And so this senior class that I have now, I left when they were sixth graders at semester. And so I've had families and, for 15 years because of my time as an assistant principal, a middle school principal, and then back to being a high school principal. So yeah, I love middle school. Middle schools, it takes a special person to be there, special patience level. And I'll give one bit of advice to any middle school principal that's out there. Quit planning those dances in the fall, in the spring. What are we doing? That's as Marty Silverman says, that's the cool of school thinking, where you think in June, hey, wouldn't it be pretty cool if we had a Valentine's Day dance for middle school? And no, the answer is no, it is not a good idea. It is an awful idea. I say that in jest. Middle schoolers are great. Lots of Axe cologne, jumping up and down, dancing, right? Let's go. Middle school is the best, but I'm a high school guy at heart. I love, being at high school. High school is the passion. You get to see the final product. You get to see the kids cross the stage. That's where I'll end my career.
Awesome. I can tell you I was a middle school and elementary, high school. Middle school, you're absolutely right. It takes a very special person to understand, to really embrace the middle school. And those seventh graders, I just love them. I just love them to death because those were my favorite. Josh.
Greg.
So, like a big shout out to El Profe, Sherrard Laws, who will be here next week for the Build Your Temple, the second show we had one episode 7 of how educators take care of their bodies. John Hurricks was here last week. Thank you for being here. Again, following Jorge Valenzuela, George Valenzuela. He does a great job with his whole program, his podcast. Dr. E.T., thank you for being here. You're like 2 doors down, presenting also. And David Arencibia. She knows everything about how to change culture. Colleyville, right, Todd? It's Colleyville. That he does a great job. And Principal of the Year for Texas 2 years ago. Lovely man, always a great supporter of the PGP podcast. Dodd McKeever-Jeeber, I got to see if you're on the show right now. I'm pretty sure that you are. I haven't found that bug. But you know what? Let me get started on this one, Todd. Let's go back. You see, our PLN knows you. People that are on the road to awesome, which is a publishing company for Darren Pepper, know you, and the conference that you present and know you. But you know what? I talk about Cafele sometimes and people don't know who he is. I talk about Jimmy Casas and sometimes people don't know who you are. So this is why we need to get, bring in the street cred. So tell the people out there, tell the audience, Todd, what motivated you to enter this beautiful field, education?
My parents were both educators. And so I always tell people I entered the family business. My father was a high school teacher and a coach. My mother was an elementary school teacher. And so, growing up, I was an average student. I didn't strive to be a great student. I was a, very average student. And I thought, I applied to one college and I went there and it was a teacher's college. And I figured I'm going to be a teacher because my parents were both teachers. I never thought I'd move to Texas, but New York was in a hiring freeze at the time and it was difficult to get a job. And so I applied for jobs all over the country and landed in Houston and I absolutely fell in love. I absolutely fell in love with the people. I remember sitting out in like September, October. I'm a redheaded, fair-headed boy, and it was 85 degrees in October, and it was humid as heck. And I remember talking to his coach. I was like, "When the heck is it going to cool off around here? Like, what is the story?" But then I also remember in December and January being the only person in my apartment complex in the great town of Katy, Texas, of swimming. And I was swimming every month and sending pictures back to my mother, who was in New York at the time, and it was freezing cold. And so, really, I cut the bug when I got to Houston. I just loved it. I loved teaching. I got to experience Friday Night Lights. I got to coach, and I absolutely love that. And it's just a great way to give back. And if you really invest in it, they invest in you. And it's just a thing to be around. I loved sports growing up, and I loved being around sports as a teacher and a coach, and I loved kind of being in charge and kind of taking charge of situations and really just jumping in, both feet. And that's the only way you can do things. And I've always been that, wherever I'm at, it's going to be, my favorite thing I'm doing. And so it's easy to show joy and excitement, when you're there, and people love that. It's infectious and contagious, and you want to be around people like that, and people want to be around you when you're like that. And so really just follow the family footsteps. And here I am 29 years later. I can't believe that, 29 years later. I can't believe that I'm here. I've got kids at the high school now that I taught their parents, and that's crazy. That's just right. I mean, that's just nuts. Like, I knew your mother. Like, I told these twin boys the other day, I taught your mother. If you don't get to class, I will call your mom. And well, was my mom like that? When you had her? No, your mom was always on time to class. So get to class. It's just fun when you're able to kind of joke around and laugh with kids that way.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's so true. And that's what I tell our former, you and I are in the same age bracket, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, hey, don't make me tell your kids how you were in high school.
That's right.
I know your laundry.
That's right.
And you know what, Todd? There's a special group of kids, my mighty 08ers. I carried them for 4 years. I carried them from freshman year to senior year. So I had the same cohort for 4 years. I know everything about them.
Yep.
They're
That's
nonsense. Awesome. And now they have kids and grandkids, and like, hey, abuelita, do you want me to tell your grandkid how you were? Ah, cállate, Tobar. Cállate, Tobar. Cállate. Mari, take it away.
That's awesome.
Hey, Todd, I can totally appreciate what you're saying as far as Houston, Texas, because I was that principal for 20 years in Houston ISD. And let me tell you, you're right. In December, here it is, 90 degrees outside, and we could still go swimming. And so absolutely. And then Friday Night Lights. Yes. Tell me, what stadium is not full to the brim, right?
Yep,
full
absolutely.
Of kids and
the whole community.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
every student body is just well represented. It's a great night, great prideful night.
Awesome.
It's one of the things that makes public ed so great. Like, as we talk about public ed, like Friday Night Lights should be the billboard for, public schools and what they do for kids and communities. It's not just the football quarterback. It's the band. It's the ROTC. It's the color guard. It's the student trainers. It's the mom and dad and grandmas and grandpas coming out and reliving their days. It's just a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it.
Wonderful. So we're going to stay with the same theme for a second. Okay. So let's go a little deeper into your story. So let's describe to the audience, because I think it's important for us to know kind of where we've been and where we came from. So tell everybody out in the audience your first year as an assistant principal and or principal. So how was that like? Because we have so many new aspiring principals. We have a lot of new principals out there. And so things may be a little different today than they were maybe for you and I. So
100%.
So tell the audience a little bit about your experience.
I became an assistant principal second semester. So I started in January, and I really, that was an easy transition, and I excelled as an assistant principal. And I became a principal in June, my first time as a middle school principal. And I struggled my first year. And I talk about it a lot in my book. I knew go slow to go fast. I knew not to change things. I knew to seek voice. I knew to seek input. I knew to be, clear about my expectations, to get clear about what mattered to me. And still, I messed it up. And, I had gone into a good school that didn't need a lot. And somehow it just kind of unraveled. And, I failed to explain my why. I failed to explain really, who I was and why I wanted to be in classrooms a lot, why I was never going to be in my office, and why I wanted to poke my head in and see what was going on in PLC meetings and ask questions and like really just ask and it just didn't go well. And it just really, November, December, my first year, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I was like, all of a sudden I'm just, having that imposter syndrome, and maybe this just wasn't for me. I was a really good assistant principal, and maybe I should just go back to that. I'm not a failure, but I'm not a quitter either. And I really had to make a decision, look in the mirror and say, if I'm going to change things, I got to do this one hallway conversation at a time, one doorway conversation at a time. Staff has to get to know me. Once they get to know me, like, we're cool. Like, we'll be able to figure things out, and they'll be able to understand, why I am out and about. I don't work in my office. I work in hallways. I work in classrooms. Churchill High School, I can work outside. We have 9 buildings, and so I'm able to be outside. And meetings, I can have meetings at the red bench, outside of the old attendance office, and people can meet outside and stuff. But I failed to explain that. Like, I failed to explain that I am inquisitive by nature, and that I will ask questions, and that if I see something that's working, I'm going to celebrate it. But if I see something that's not up to the standard, I'm going to ask about it, because like everybody deserves that. And it didn't go over well. And if I could do it over again, I'd do it bunch of things differently. And I had that opportunity by going to the high school to do it over again, and was able to be very successful at the high school by going slow, ensuring that everybody knew who I was, ensuring that communication was regular for me, ensuring that I was crystal clear about my priorities and what mattered, what hills I was going to die on, and what things I wasn't going to die on. And so really my first year as a principal, I kind of struggled, and the morale wasn't the best, and the culture wasn't the best, and it was like, it was unraveling. Every time I turned around, it was like something else. And I felt, like I said, the imposter syndrome. And really just through conversation and patience, and one conversation at a time, and through really hiring, I was able to hire people that kind of thought the same way, and, kind of worked the same way. And that was an important part in the leadership team. And, great people. I inherited great people. It wasn't them. It was Todd Bloomer. Like Todd needed to change for it to be successful. And I was able to do that.
Awesome. And I'm glad you recognize that, right? And you because then from there it was like better, right? It just
Absolutely.
you just have to kind of overcome that first year. I remember my first year as a first year principal. That was tough. I had 3 schools I had to take care of as a first year principal, and that was difficult. You got promoted from within in the middle of the semester. That's also hard to do, right? It's really, really difficult. So, I'm glad. Look at where you are today, sir. It's amazing.
Yes. Thank you for that. And I will tell you this though. I tell anybody, if you can get a principal job in January, like, the ship's already sailed. Like, if you have the good mindset that I'm just going to sit back, I'm going to take notes, I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to get to know people, I'm going to visit with people, I'm going to seek voice and input, and I'm going to make notes, and I'm going to make any changes I want to make in June. Like, that's great. You can't change it because we've already had in service. We've already got initiatives. We already got things rolling. And so really coming on in January was excellent. Like, my job was just to make relationships and build connections. And I'm good. And that's my strength. I'm good at that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Great reflective points, and that's what people need to hear out there. You see, I think that what I hear a lot about this show is that it's reality. All our guests, and starting right on the call right now, for the audience, you've got 90 years of experience plus. On the call, us 3 have 90 years of experience. And when you reach a certain echelon of time, you have no time to not be straightforward and honest with people.
That's absolutely
in a caring, loving way. You still respect them as professionals, but you ain't got time for that.
That's right.
You ain't got time for that. And so I appreciate your honesty, because that's what we need to do. Because you know what? I tell our team members, look, I got nothing to hide. I got no cards up my sleeve. This is what I require from you. This is what you're going to get from me. Let me role model the expectation. Let's all work together to establish the right culture. And that's what you're addressing in your book. And we'll talk about that in specific detail. But before I get into that, Todd McKeever, Dr. Moreno, once we're done with this, we need to find why she's not appearing on Restream. Arcela Austri, we broke bread with you today. Thank you for being here today with Shika. Thank you. Let her know. And I messaged her on Facebook. I have no idea why I see you, but I don't see you on my Restream. We see you, all the comments, but not on Restream, but I see you on my Facebook. So I love you, Dot. You're so gracious to the Fantastic Four. You're very loyal. We're going to find it. And we love you, all of us. All 4 shows love you, Dot. And especially the way you spread the news of this awesome platform that we have with the Fantastic Four. Arcelia, nice seeing you from New Jersey. Dr. Edwin Garcia, exactly. Thank you for being here. And Mr. Timor, thank you very much for being here and enjoying us part of the show on LinkedIn. So, Todd, a lot of people say this in our field, and I started hearing it like 15 years ago. Educators telling educators, administrators telling administrators, hey, why don't you write your book? Why don't you write your book? Hey, write a book. Hey, and then people just keep it in their back of their mind, right? Hey, write a book, write a book. You know what? You did it. So please tell us as best as you can without 7 hours of a discussion. Let us know, how were you able to handle a 6A high school? Those of you that don't know, when Josh in Texas tells you 6A high school, we're talking a city.
Yeah, it is.
It's a city. And those of us that have ran a city before, oh Lord, oh Lord, you have to be at everything from underwater basket weaving to hopscotch to flags to orchestra, everything that's out there, you have to be there to show the love of the culture.
That's right.
So how were you able to, sir, create the blueprint to help other educators while being a 6A high school principal?
Yeah. People ask me how long it took to write my book, and I say 7 years. And they say, oh my God, 7 years? I say, yes, because I was a high school principal that had everything to do. Just for example, yesterday, 8:30 in the morning, we had ROTC, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we had one act play, and then 7:30 at night, we had prom. I mean, that was an 18-hour day on a Saturday, and while those are uncommon, we work a 6-day week workday, like standing on our head. This week coming up, I got something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday coming up. So I'm trying to pencil in my calendar when I'm going to get sleep or some exercise or stuff like that. And so, he's got to make that happen. You got to find the calendar time to make it happen, Josh. And you do a good job of modeling that for us about just either getting up early or making sure that you're documenting getting up and working out, because it's so important for us as we kind of go. To answer your question, I worked on this book over 7 years. In 7 years, it started as an email to my brother. My brother was transitioning from a math teacher to an assistant principal, and I started as an email. And I was going to email my brother some pointers on how to be successful. And then all of a sudden, I developed a Google Doc, and I started putting little different Google Docs together. And then all of a sudden, I thought, I got something here. Like, there's something here that I think I could share with someone, not in a pompous way or like I have all the answers to anything. Most of it was like, don't do this because I failed at this. Don't do that because I failed at that. It was through failure that I was sharing. And then pretty soon I started working on it. I developed a manuscript. I shared it with some big name people that all rejected me. I worked on it. And I just basically decided I'm going to publish this thing come heck or high water. And I was at a basketball game in December of 23, and Darren Peppard, good old DP, reached out and said, hey, let's talk. And I stepped into the hallway of a basketball game, and we did a FaceTime. And we talked about the book, and he said, do you have a chapter of the book? I said, Darren, I got the whole thing done. Like, I'm ready to push self-publish on Amazon. And he said, send it to me. And he sent it to me, he liked it, he signed me, and then we started the back and forth, the rewriting, the edits. His great wife, Jessica, and him, great partners in what we were doing. And we published it. And so honestly, it was one of those things that I gave up like 5 times. Like, I walked away from it. It's like, bad girlfriend or some breakup where you're like, go back, break up, come back. It's like one of those type things. And you're like, all right, here I come. One last time. We'll make it work. And, I just kept revising it. I kept re-editing it, and revising it, and taking stuff out, and really trying to get clear on what I was trying to say. And I took feedback from everybody. And that's hard. That's vulnerable. When you put yourself out there, like, you're talking about failures and like letting everybody see that the facade that I put out right now is I'm Tim Duncan. Like, I'm model of consistency. I'm a Hall of Famer. But no, I mean, I failed numerous times to get where I'm at. And like, that's okay. And I think that's so important that we share that message and say, hey, I screwed up, but I didn't dwell in it, and I didn't do it again. I learned from it. And how did you learn from it? Well, I asked people that have done, sit with winners. The conversation's different. Like, you just sit with people and you get insight from people, and you just change. And you look at the great state of Texas. If I needed somebody in Garland, Texas to be able to help me, I could just reach out to them. And if they don't respond, they don't respond. But our profession is so good about answering an email, answering a LinkedIn message, answering something to connect with. The number of people that I've reached out to that would charge people money, honestly, for advice along the way of the book deal, about publishing, about marketing, they just do it out of the goodness of their heart because they're good people. And so all of us on this call now, I know we do the same thing. If somebody reached out to me today and said, I want to write a book, I'll spend as much time with you because I learned a ton in writing the book, stuff that would have saved me probably years of stress. And so really 7 years, it's a major city in what I do, taking time, being strategic, blocking off times on Saturdays and Sunday mornings to be able to write, picking up a momentum. You know what, when I'm on vacation, like as crazy as that sounds, like we went to Thanksgiving break and I'm working on the Blueprint Part 2. I'm working on my second book. And we went down to South Padre Island for vacation for all of Thanksgiving. It was great. We had the whole beach to ourselves. I'd get up, I'd go run at the beach at sunrise, and I'd come back and I sat on the deck, drank my coffee, and worked on the Blueprint Part 2. Hour and a half, kids get up, now we're on vacation. But it's just kind of squeezing in time during the day for what you're passionate about. And then when you're passionate about it, you're going to find time to do stuff. Like, cause it's burning. It's like, come on, we got to get this done. So getting after it that way, but you have to schedule time. And I will tell you this, I never once worked on it during the school day in neglected kids or neglected a passing period or an activity or a duty. Like that's not what I did. That's not who I am. I'm at school to be around the kids. It's people before paper. And this was all stuff done on my own time. So I take a lot of pride in that because that's important to me.
Todd, if you run a 6A school, you ain't got time to do that. You ain't got time to do that. Facts. Big shout out to Susan, our awesome Jaguar faculty member at MPA. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. So take it away there, Dr. Moreno.
So Todd, let's talk a little bit about kind of your beliefs, right? So you strongly believe in having a thriving campus culture. Mm-hmm. So please tell the audience why culture is so important for a campus, and how does a thriving culture help academics and extracurricular activities? Because they need both, right? Our kids need both 100%. Academics and extracurricular activities. So how does that work?
Culture is the DNA of everything you do on your campus. I mean, it is the most important thing. It is the cherished rock. It is Curly's gold. It is what we're looking for and searching for when we're coming up with everything that we do. And with a strong and thriving culture, like your school can do anything. So if you go to a school and you've got a good culture, that school's got the potential to do great things. And it may be an A, it may be a B, it may be a C, but it's got potential to be great things in what's going on with a strong culture. Our jobs are so difficult. Like it is so hard to be a public school educator, a principal, anything in between. And when you're at work, you have to have a family-like atmosphere. And we've taken a real pride in calling ourselves a family, but not just calling ourselves a family, acting like a family. And I think culture and family are just the same thing. And we equate it to if Josh is my brother and my brother has a flat tire, I'm going to do anything I can to go help Josh fix his flat tire. If Josh is in the hospital and he's my brother, I'm going to do anything I can to go support him and be there. And we have to look at that from our lens of a principal to the staff. And so our job as principal, I'll just give one example. If I know that Josh, his son has a football game at 4:30 on Tuesday, and he's an assistant principal or a teacher, I'm going to make sure that he knows that I know that he's got a game and that he needs to leave campus so that he is at that game. Because that is so important that we are around our own families, because Josh gives so much back to the kids on our campus. It's not fair for him to miss his own family stuff for what we have. And so our words have to match our actions. And I really think culture is about saying yes to people, looking for reasons to say yes, or looking for ways to say yes. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I got an idea. Hey, I want to start a club. Hey, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. Like, as long as it doesn't violate district board policy and all the things, let's look for ways to empower teachers to take ownership of the campus. I don't micromanage. I treat people like adults on the campus. If you show up at 8:15 tomorrow, you're supposed to be there at 8. I assume you got a reason for that. Like you might have, your son lost his shoe and he's 4 years old and he couldn't find the shoe and he was having a hard. Who am I to go yell at them to say you showed up 12 minutes late, right? I mean that's not the way we handle things. Now you can't show up late every single day and you can't take advantage of that, but we treat people like adults on the campus. I don't micromanage. You can wear jeans any day you want. It's one of the greatest things that we do on our campus. Any day you want, you can wear jeans. It is one of the nicest things, and people look nicer by giving them permission to wear jeans and then going from there. But I also think culture is getting to know people. It's like getting to know them. So they have to know me and I have to know them. And I got to know both of you as people before I know you as teachers, because if you trust me as a person, then you're going to trust me when I come in and give feedback for the classroom. If you don't know me or only come into your classroom for that 15 or 45-minute observation, you're going to talk about me the minute I walk out and you're not going to take any of that feedback to heart. But if I'm in the hallways and I'm talking to you about football, or I'm talking about hamburgers, or I'm talking to you about the San Antonio Spurs, and we're connecting with that, we're connecting with what you did over the weekend, then you are going to be able to take feedback from me because you realize I'm a pretty good person. I like you, I value you, and I want you to be the absolute best for what you have. I'll also take it from the standpoint that kids don't come to school for chemistry or English 4. Kids come to school because they want to be a part of something, whether that be ROTC or choir or football or anything in between. And so a thriving campus culture has extracurricular activities that are well attended, has people that are part of them. But it also starts with us as administrators, is talking to our coaches and our sponsors to say we need to share kids. If you want to be a part of choir and play football, then we need to figure that out. We're not making a 15-year-old pick between two things because they have a passion for both. And I hate when we make people, in high school, you got to specialize. That's nonsense. You don't have to specialize. We want you to be a part of it. And you know what? There are people that can do 4 and 5 things. Let's get out of their way and let's make sure that they're able to do them and do those things for what we have. And then we also want to have our coaches go search for kids to be a part of programs. We're not exclusive. We want to be inclusive. We want to be able to, if you step foot on my campus tomorrow, March 24th, if you step foot on Churchill High School, March 24th, I want the football coach, the band director, the choir director, ROTC, I want them all to say, I want you in my program. Like, I want people recruiting people to be a part of that. And when we got a thriving football team and a thriving academic UIL team, we got a great orchestra and a great band, like we've got a great campus. And then winning helps out in the hallways. Our girls basketball team went to the state Final Four this year. We lost to Fort Bend Hightower this year, who was absolutely phenomenal team, but we lost in the state Final Four, the Final Four. When you win, the hallways are just a little bit better. Like, kids are behaved. Kids show up at games that you don't even know. And I'll give you this last example of just building a strong culture. We had prom last night. And there's numerous kids that I struggle to connect with. Either they're quiet or they're standoffish, or they don't want to connect with the principal. Last night, I commented on every single kid that came into prom, how nice they looked, how nice their dates looked, where'd they go to dinner. And it was just so nice when they were like, I had like 50 pictures taken with people last night. It was just one of those things that if you take the time to build it and you model it, Josh, you talked about modeling that for your staff. I'm modeling talking to the toughest kid on campus that nobody can connect with. And I'm not saying he's going to connect with me and be BFFs, but we're making a point to say, I see you and I value you. And so really culture is just family. It's the DNA of our campus. It starts at the top. Like, we have to model. I start my day in the parent drop-off lane at a 6A high school where the most kids come into campus. And I talk to them, and any kid that comes in with new ink, new tattoo, I make sure a point to talk to that kid to figure out, where did you get that? Who did it? What does it mean? Because that kid is begging people to say, hey, ask me about my tattoo. It's easy to connect with the head cheerleader, the head football player, the valedictorian, but it's not as easy to connect with the kid that's hard to reach. And that's our job as the principal, to do that. Now, it's also our job to let the F word go in one and out when somebody is mad at you and does that, right? And the next day we reconnect with that kid also. That's about culture. It's about modeling, hey, this is not what we do, and this is how we got to connect with people. But I think it's about treating adults like adults. It's about empowering teachers. And the worst saying I've ever heard is hire good people and get out of their way. It's hire good people and walk alongside them. Like, empower them, be with them, and get out of your office and be with your teachers and be with your kids. That helps you. It also helps the safety of your campus, the morale of your campus, and the instruction of your campus. And when you do all of that put together and you treat people like that, your culture is thriving. Your culture is what you want it to be. And you may not be an A campus, But by golly, the state of Texas, Churchill High School is an A campus because we have A quality teachers, A quality kids, and A quality parent and community base. And we got a pretty good principal and administrative team that are fighting the good fight there, right? Let's go. I'm fired up, Josh. Let's go.
Let's love it. Woo! Let's go, coach. Give me a
Let's go. Put me in.
Woo!
Fired up.
I love it. So true. And you know what? You said so much. You guys got to rewind on that because there's tons of truth about the different nuggets that he dropped along this path. And especially the only thing I'm going to mention is this. I 100% agree with one thing you just said right now, which is that comment of hire them and get out of the way. No. In the end, your chair, Todd, my chair as principal, Mari's former chair, we're hired for a vision for that school, a vision for those kids. No one else interviewed for a vision for the whole community. You, main chair, you were hired for that. So if you bring something to the table that someone else saw, a committee, then the follow-up superintendent, and they chose you, you were brought to bring an academic vision, culture vision to that campus. And even though you might hire a rock star educator, rock star coach, you can't have them go off crazy, do whatever they want that's against your vision because you were the one hired for that. You, the main chair. And your APs, that's their title. Your title is to assist the principal vision. You're an assistant to their vision. And as long as it's not unethical, as long as they're doing everything that's right, and you might not agree, shut your mouth and follow the principal's vision because you weren't hired for the vision of the campus. You were there to hire it as the assistant principal's visionary, go and do it person.
That's right. I agree.
And so once you become the principal, and I tell this, and I'm very blunt with assistant principals, once you get the chair, are you going to want to have your assistant principals roadblock you?
That's right.
Are you going to want them to impose their own vision that they weren't hired for? So just food for thought. Yeah, hire them, but walk alongside because the end, once those scores come back, who do they go after? Not the AP.
That's right.
And that's just a fact. The main chair is the one that gets the 3-hour conversation with all the color-coded data and your bubble kits that you didn't address. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never been in the chair.
That's right. That's right.
It
is this job here, and we all know that this job, you are responsible for everything, yet you can prevent and control nothing. Like that is the biggest realization of this job. I mean, it is a Sunday night and I'm responsible for whatever's going on at Churchill High School right now at 8:15 at night. And I'm not even there. It's a Sunday night, it's a weekend, but we can control nothing.
Right.
And so that is something that sits on our shoulders and weighs down on us. And we hope we have that supportive team of administrators. And I'm so blessed that I've got my best team right now of people that are committed, that want to be principals, that are rock stars in what they do, that are part of the just like me. Like they are with kids and with teachers, and it is beautiful to see. You know that when you've got a good team and everybody's in harmony, like, oh man, teachers see it, parents see it, kids see it. Because when you got someone that doesn't like someone on a team, man, kids can see that. And the kids are like, hey man, I know, they're not getting along, or I know he hates her. And it's just like a reality show, and it just falls apart. It's just, we don't have time for that. Like Josh, you said, like, here's the expectation. We're here to take care of kids, here to take care of teachers, here to take care of our community, here to take care of each other. Like if you can't do that, get out of the way.
Exactly.
But if you want to be a part of it, let's go.
And this goes, and you know what? Sometimes some of this conversation is not what you hear in other chats. It's not what you hear in other shows or other Edutopia articles, but that's the reality, guys.
It is.
The reality of what us three have faced in the chair of big schools. Those are the kind of things that we need to deal with, and the conversations that you're not told by Sir Giovanni. You're not told by Marzano. Okay. So that leads me to the next question for you, Todd. So the certification process in Texas to become an administrator, it's crazy now. I would not have passed it.
Yeah,
If you hear about the face-to-face things they gotta do and record themselves and send it to a panel, and then if you don't pass it 3 times, you're gonna not get it. And it doesn't matter about all the coursework you did, the 36 hours, or depending what your university. That's the easy part, believe it or not. That's the easy part. So my question to you is this: what should candidates for the principalship look for or prepare for to get in the chair? What is there that they know, and what is the unseen? We've talked about a lot of the unseen.
hmm
Prior to me addressing this question, there's a lot of unseen stuff that no one mentions. So to my question to you is this: what should a candidate for the main chair, the principalship, be on the look for?
Yeah, I think it's two part. So I think as principals, we need to put our people in places to be able to grow and push them, and we need to be able to encourage them to take that next step, because leadership is, we're at a point in our society and in the nation right now where we need strong leadership. And we talked on that. You said on this call, Josh, 90 years of experience. I'm probably the youngest one with 29. So like that just means we're stepping away from it sooner than later, and the bench is very thin. In the old days when we were coming up, it took a long time to get a principalship. You had to fight to get a principalship, and you had to really excel. Nowadays, people are becoming an assistant principal, and 2-3 years later, they're thinking they got it all, and they're applying to be a principal, and they're getting jobs. And no disrespect to that, more power to them, right? Like I'm jealous and proud of them for doing it. But preparation is sitting in that assistant principal's chair and preparing for it. I'm blessed that both my I had a middle school assistant principal and a high school assistant principal. Both of my principals saw potential in me, and both gave me opportunities to be a thought partner with them as the principal. And so, a couple things that I think are extremely important as a principal. Budget. I think budget is something that you don't learn until you sit in the big chair. And really, that's a hard one to do. But really asking the principal, I asked the principal, can I be in charge of the Saturday school budget? And can I be in charge of collecting money, paying teachers, and making sure we had enough to go from there? So I had an understanding of how that worked. And so really asking for things outside of your lane as an assistant principal. Assistant principal, we're books, butts, and buses, and now vapes and door checks and social media to add to that other crap that we got going, right? And so, but asking for other things, and then asking to be a part of things. And I really think that, like, as an assistant principal, you should volunteer for stuff at central office so that people know you. Committees, groups, expectation committees. I think volunteering so people at central office know you. I think making sure that you are dressing for the part, acting for the part, and thinking for the part is really what I have. And a lot of times what I try to do with my assistant principals is they come to me and say, hey, I've got this dilemma. I turn it back and say, what would you do? Or what do you recommend? And so you force them to come up with decisions. And I'm not going to take their decision if it's a crazy decision. But if they're like, I think the kid needs 3 days of ISS, I think we should do this for this teacher, this parent, tell me why, explain it through. Would you be able to explain it if somebody questioned you on it? Then yeah, then let's go for it. So I think it's two parts. So I think the assistant principal's got to seek out opportunities to be that leader, and it's got to ask for things. You think about how many times we were gone from campus. We're off campus, and who's in charge? And who's on the campus? Who's the point of contact? Something bad happens, they're calling us. But who's that person that they could reach out to say, what do you think? Like, who is that person? Well, step up. Someone, be that person. And then also, I think it's our job to see leadership in people. And I think it's our job to be able to say to them, okay, what would you do? How would you handle this? What do you think about this? I know what I think. But what do you think? Like, I've already done this. Like, what do you think is important for this? And then I also think it's our job as principals to reach out to our central office December and June and give like a report card on our assistant principals. Like, I think it's our job to reach out to them and say, hey, Johnny is ready to be a principal. Susie this is her strength. This is what I'm working on, so that they understand who my people are, what their strengths are. And I'm really proud to say the last 2 principals in our district have come from my team. And I really think that I've reached out and been able to advocate for them. Now, they were great people. Like, they were getting jobs whether Todd Bloomer advocated for them or not. But I advocated for them, and I put them in spots where people saw them make decisions and people were able to get to know them. And then lastly, I will say this. Sometimes when the superintendent shows up on the campus, like, we just go up to him because that's the superintendent. But sometimes assistant principal is a little standoffish. I was like, you have to go up and shake your hand. And even if you got to repeat your name every single time you go up there, sir, nice to meet you again, Todd Bloomer. I know who you are, Todd. You know, like as an assistant principal, you got to make sure they feel comfortable because those folks are coming on campus and they're looking to see, are you coming up to me? Are you comfortable with me? Are you coming up to say what's going on? So it's sometimes you got to kiss the ring to be up there, but like that's just part of the game. And let's get you, let's get you part of that. And so I think it's twofold. We have to push our assistant principals to take leadership, and then we have to also put them in spots where they are making decisions. And then we have to coach them. We have to give them strong advice on how to be successful. And wherever we can, we have to give wisdom and nuggets of what we've learned, how to navigate the system, because it is a system. Sitting in the big chair, you're the mayor of that town. And sometimes you gotta juggle PTA, central office, school. You gotta juggle all of that. If you can juggle it, you're gonna be a successful principal.
So true. And and again, thank you. This is a discussion I always had with a lot of the peers as I was going up the administrative scale. And what you said, we used to say, and it's one of those unwritten things. That's why Superintendent Glenn Robbins' new book, Won't Back Down, is going to be a great book read for everybody because it speaks of those unsaid things that we have to live through. It's true. Sometimes you got to kiss the ring.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't got to kiss the ring of only the superintendent, but the area superintendent.
That's right.
I mean, those are just facts. I'm sorry. Whether you like it or don't like it, I'm here as someone with, and Mari with someone with, and Todd with someone with decades of experience. That's our lived experience. We've had those conversations. And to the next point before I hand it over to Mari, that's one of the things that I've had the pleasure of seeing with and I'll take out some of my issues, and not in a negative way. I'm using that term with my current assistant principal. She comes directly from central office, and I drive her crazy. Because whenever there's an issue out there, I do what you do, Todd. Well, how would you handle it? So what would you do? And I see the despair in her face, like, bro, just tell me what you... No. If I tell you what to do, first of all, why do I need you? And number two, how are you going to learn? It's okay for you to screw up. I analyze the problem. An established principal will analyze the problem that they're facing, the AP, and if it's too much for them, then maybe you'll jump in. But if it's not too much for them, and if there's some splashback that you get from them, you could handle that. But they need to learn how to handle the situation. And so I just look at her and I say, so how would you handle it? Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Well, tell me how you would do it. What if I had pneumonia and I wasn't here for the next week and a half? You would still have to handle it. You're not going to call me. So it's one of those things. So for anybody that will get the chair coming up, that's the best way for me. I don't know if you agree with me, Mari. I don't know if you agree with me or don't, Todd. But let them get splattered. Let them learn the hard way. And as we all hear all these conferences, all these edutopias, all these education weeks, all these podcasts, they all say, let them be risk takers and support them when they take the risk. That way they become better administrators. And when they deal with that, when they're in the main chair, the splatter won't be that great.
Yeah, facts.
Mari.
Super facts.
Super facts.
You know what? I think that's something that we all have in common here, right? We have to provide them real opportunities for them to grow. And Todd, I love the fact that you were saying, give me the Saturday budget, give me the, this budget, because that's the number one area that most assistant principals don't have the luxury of playing with is the school budget. So, I mean, I was blessed to have, when I was an assistant principal, an awesome principal who was able to give me, those little nuggets that I needed, like a school little budget. I think he gave me like $15,000 and he says, how would you use this with your, small staff or whatever? Because he gave me everything. But I mean, that's what you need. And I think that's why I'm a great leader, because I had a good mentor to help me with that. And the other thing, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, I can't tell you how many principals are out there that will not let go their awesome assistant principals to go become principals.
Oh, no.
Right? I know people out there that will say, no, they're not ready. No. And I'm like, they are ready. What are you talking about? But because they're amazing assistant principals, they want to hold them back. And I tell everybody out there, if you're listening to me, let them go.
Yes,
Let them
we should.
go and grow their wings and let them go. You guys should be proud. You guys should
Yes.
be proud that you know, look at how many assistant principals have gotten to the chair, right? So, so again, I just know some people out there that I know they don't let their assistant principals go, and you know,
That's
shame
sad.
on
Sad.
you.
Sad. I agree.
Shame
Shame
on
on
you.
them. Shame on them.
So let's talk a little bit more about administrator life, because administrators is all about finding solutions to problems that we face on our campus. So what are three ways, or let's just, you know, three ways or three actions administrators need to overcome these obstacles that we face every day? Because they're coming at you, right?
100%. We'll start this way. It starts with us. I can't give from an empty cup, and so I have to be great. And so I mentioned earlier, you know, Josh every morning gets up and posts the podcast he's listening to, the supplements he's taking, and the workout that he does, and that's inspirational because he realizes that if he's at 50%, that's the effort the school's going to get. So he has to give everything he can. I went for, you know, a good 2 mile jog. I have a 2 mile a day keeps the doctor away theory that I have. I try to eat right. I try to get enough sleep. And I try to do stuff with my family. And so I try to make sure that now that we're empty nesters, Sunday Fun Day is a day that my wife and I are able to do something fun. If you watch the TV show Severance, I don't know if anybody's a Severance fan, but if you watch TV show Severance, on Sundays, I don't think about work. I'm an Audi on Sunday, and I am making sure that I am doing something with my wife and my family. It's 1 day a week, but in a 6A high school principal, that's important. So I think one of the things that's so important is taking care of you. And so I try to schedule my run, my workout. I try to schedule taking care of myself. I try to meal prep, and I try to make sure I get enough sleep in what I do. And if I can do all of that, I start my day. Now, it's not a religious thing, but I start my morning every morning with I'm reading the Bible over the course of this year. And so a 15-minute Bible reading sets my mind right. When I leave the campus, I feel really good about myself. I feel good about the day. I'm confident in my day, and I go to work and I'm able to do what I want to do. I'm able to be out and about, and I'm able to support people for what they need. I end my day by running in the park. Like that's my, you know, right now, March in Texas is beautiful. It's 75, 80 degrees. It's 8 o'clock at night. We're still out daylight. You can get out and run. It'll be a little more challenging when it's 95, 100 degrees, but it is what it is. We'll figure out that we get. Second thing I think we do to overcome the challenges that we have is we have to seek voice. Like voice is so important to seek. And there's three key stakeholders that we have to seek voice from students, parents, and teachers. And if you draw a triangle in the book, I talk about it as the triangle of success. The Bloomer triangle of success is when you are able to seek voice from all three of those components. We seek voice from teachers all the time. We seek voice from parents all the time. We oftentimes don't seek voice from students. And that's the most under neglected group, but they're there all day long. And why wouldn't we seek input from them? So the part that I bring up about seeking voice is you seek their input. Ultimately, I'm sitting in the big chair. I have to make the decision, and they don't necessarily have a vote, but they have a voice. And I think that's
We're
key.
customers.
There are customers. Like, why wouldn't we ask them? You know, and you know, we talked about middle school and high school and like crazy, just differences. In middle school, I could tell a kid because. Why? Because I said so. In high school, you can't tell an 18-year-old, like, because if it's a dumb thing, they're going to tell you it's a dumb thing. And you can't say, because I said so, and expect them to listen or understand or support what you have. And so shout out to David. The Bloomer Triangle of Success is something that you have. And so Jimmy Casas taught us both, Josh, to seek voice and input from teachers and seek input from parents and students. And so I think really making sure I'm great to start my day. I'm at the best I can be, making sure I'm seeking voice from what I have, and then really realizing that when I'm on campus and wherever I am, like I'm there and I care. And like, I think when you're there if I'm there at 7 o'clock at night, I have to demonstrate that this is the most important thing to me in the whole wide world. Because if I'm at a softball game and I'm on my phone in the corner, not paying attention, someone's going to realize that guy don't care. Like that is somebody's baby out there on the field, on the band lot, on you name it. So I have to demonstrate that I care. When I'm at lunch duty, I got to demonstrate that I'm care. When I'm in passing period, I have to demonstrate that I'm care. And that's the joy. Like all three of us are the same person. Like we sought joy in talking to kids and hearing about the weekend and seeing them dressed up at prom and hearing about the first job or having them come to us and tell us they just got into UT or A&M or Rice or you name it. Like That's what it's all said and done. And the biggest difference in middle school and high school is I get to shake their hand at graduation and tell them how proud I am of them to see that finished product. Middle school, we don't see the finished product. And sometimes we're like, oh my God, that kid will never make it through ninth grade. And then all of a sudden they're 18 and they walk the stage and they're going to college or going to the military or get a job. So it's so cool. So I think like really how to handle our job, we have to put us first, everybody else second. Like it used to be kids first. No, it's us first. Then it's kids. Because if we're not at our best, we can't serve kids, we can't serve teachers, we can't serve the community. And then after that, we have to make sure that we are seeking voice from our stakeholders. And then we have to make sure that from there, that we're there and we care. And once we do all of that stuff, it's not perfect. There's good days and bad days. There's things that we can't control and problems that we have. But by golly, it's a pretty good place when we can do all of that. So I would say those three things will be what comes to my mind as we talk about, how to handle the deals.
Great knowledge, great nuggets that you just dropped, because you're right. You got to take care of yourself first. You got to be selfish to be selfless.
That's right. Agreed. Right? Facts.
Awesome.
So true. So true. And it's so hard for us. I'm sorry, Josh, to interrupt you. It's so hard for us to say no.
Yeah.
Like if I'm walking down the hall and somebody says to me, "Are you coming to my game tonight?"
Yes.
I had a dinner with my wife planned for tonight or my son's, but let me cancel that. That was me my first couple of years. And I've gotten really good about strategically making sure I'm places, but making sure I'm not neglecting my family and myself. Yeah. And so sometimes you have to say no. And it's a badge of honor when they ask us. When I was in high school, I never asked my principal if he was coming to something I did. But he probably didn't even know who he was, or know who I was. And so to think that they say me by name, are you coming to our game? Are you coming to our concert? Are you like, that just means what you're doing is working. And it does break your heart not to be able to go, but you can't be everywhere. Right. Like you just can't be everywhere. And your wife, the dinner that now has to be heated up in the microwave at 9:30 that your wife prepared for you, or your child who said, meet me somewhere, or, they had a game or a concert, like,
but you'll make the next one, though. You'll make the next one, right?
Of course. Yes. And so I'll give you a great story. Friday, I'm walking around campus, and I walk by our softball field. Our varsity softball's practicing. They said, are you coming to the game tonight? And I said, no, guys, I'm not coming tonight because I have 3 things on Saturday. When do you play again? Tuesday. Well, I can't come Tuesday. We got an award ceremony. When do you play again? Friday. I'll be there Friday. Like, I got you. And that's good. Like they know that I will be there. And you know what? I will sit in the dugout with the softball team. I will buy sunflower seats and I will do the cheers. Because if you've never been in a softball dugout cheering with those kids, like that's game changing. Like that's what it's all about right there.
If you don't know what he just said, you're missing out part of your life. The softball girls with their chants.
That's right.
Oh, Lord. Something else. Something else right there. Real quick, commercial time. Show your book, Todd. Show your book.
I don't have my book with me.
Okay.
I don't have my book.
First, go get it.
Okay.
So, normally I have my 4 books I promote, but they're in North Dallas. And I've got this speaker that's here in North Carolina, Sean Gaylord, the Lightning podcast. He autographed it. I was on the same panel with this cat just a couple of minutes ago. He autographed my book. Hey, we're both educators. We're both principals. We both have decades underneath. But you know what? I admire him. And there's nothing wrong. Like Jerry Brooks says, I don't have peanut butter and jelly. I'm not professionally jealous of anybody. I'm in competition with Josh. That's right. If Josh did something, if Josh sent 10 thank you cards, Josh has to send 15 the next week. I'm not in competition with anybody else. I admire that someone else is willing to light my fire by what they do for kids.
That's right.
So I promote this cat right here. Yep. And don't forget about Grow Your Why, 23 stories from Barbara Bray. But I've got this guy right here. He just wrote a book. How about you show it right now?
So here's the blueprint. It is How to Survive and Thrive as a School Administrator. It is a 7-year journey of my leadership. Started as an email to my brother. It's filled with structures, systems, practical advice. It's relevant. And the way that I market it, I'm still in the game. We're still in the game. And so folks that are no longer, as a principal, sitting in the big chair, they've got great wisdom and they're smarter than I am. But I'm still doing it. Josh, we're still doing it. We're getting the phone call. Superintendent's calling us. That's the part that I have. The Teddy Roosevelt man in the arena. Like we are the man in the arena getting bloodied and dirtied and beaten. and the people in the cheap seats are yelling at us, but we're still doing the job. And so that's my difference of some of the stuff. I'm still doing what I'm doing each and every day and loving it. Loving it, ma'am. I am loving it.
Amen. Hey, Marty, we got to get this cat's book so we could promote it out there on the social media and our podcast. And again,
send me both your addresses, and I'll put a copy in the mail for both of y'all if you help me out. Share it with your PLN.
Sure,
Josh has my text; he can text me. But I'll send you both. Put one in there free of charge. Spread the wealth.
For sure. Thank you, brother. You don't have to do that, but thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And then just before we get into our last couple of 2 questions, before we get into the Ganas round, it's so true. We're not casting shade on anybody. We're not. On the contrary, the people that are no longer in the chair or no longer in the business, but they're out here motivating us, thank you.
Absolutely.
We value you. I don't want to mention names because I don't want to come across like I'm casting shade on it. I'm not. I'm here in conferences learning from them.
That's right.
I go to NASSP, TASSP. I go to Texas ASCD. I go to all these. I'm in North Carolina to learn from them. But there's something to our 2 cents because we're literally dirty every day. And I'm using it in the context of what comes with the chair.
That's right.
And everything that's out there. So when we bring something to the table, we're dealing with pre-COVID,
that's right,
post-COVID, and the ripple effects of COVID that's here to stay for a couple of more generations because they started since kinder. Kinder started in 2nd grade. So think about those gaps that are happening or taking place. And now with the current political scene, that's more ripple effects that people sitting in the chair have to deal with and will deal with. So thank you for everybody that's out there. We will pay for our Title I money. We'll bring you into our schools. Thank you for your books and everything. But remember, those of us that are out there and we're telling you our 2 cents, we're telling you because we're dealing with it on a daily way or aspect of life.
Absolutely.
So you, my friend, I've noticed your shining, beautiful face and smile. I saw you at TSSP presenting. You were doing the pizzazz. You were doing the. I caught your good side. I was taking your pictures. I caught your beautiful. I said, no, this way. And what made you jump into from the chair, but now pass on your knowledge as a speaker, as a presenter? I think you had a gig last night. What made you jump into that? Not only jump into the speaker role, but also balance it out in a 6A school.
I think it's giving back, and I'm where I'm at because people poured into me. And so that is what we do as educators. We give back, and we're selfless, and we help, and we support. And I honestly feel like the book has gained a little bit of traction. It's gained some notoriety and some positive feedback that people want to hear from us. With that said, every principal's got a book in them. Every person's got a book in them they could share because our stories are relevant, especially like you said, Josh, people that are still doing the work that we're doing each and every day. And so I've always been someone that's enjoyed telling stories. I've always enjoyed, kind of leading people. I've always enjoyed sharing wisdom with people. And so honestly, because, both part of TSSP and it's a great organization and it's given me so much, I felt like if somebody could benefit, if one person could benefit from what I was sharing, then it was worth it. And then it becomes, kind of infectious. You enjoy presenting. You enjoy going out and telling a story. You enjoy motivating because like at each stage in our career, we get different satisfactions in our career. Now our job as the old folks of this profession is giving back to the younger folks because we believe that public education is, Josh, you brought it up. It's the career that feeds all careers. It's a career that begins all careers. And if we don't have a strong principal in every single high school, middle school, and elementary school across the United States, we're going to fail. And the narrative in Austin and in the United States is negative about public ed. And we have to make sure that we have great people in there that are champions for what they do, that are good at what they do, that can sit in the chair and can own the chair and have more good days than bad days. and could hire great people and could be places that build culture and climate where kids want to go and parents want their kids to go. And they don't need to go to charter schools or private schools or take vouchers and take away from all the stuff that we have, because the neighborhood public schools, it's been the rock of our society. And so honestly, that's the message I want to give. I want to give that the neighborhood principle can change the trajectory of the life of so many people. And that's just like something that you can't take lightly. You can't check that out at 4:30. Like when you go home, you are there to help somebody who their parents are giving up on them at times. You're there to help somebody that's never been to college before, and you're going to make them the first college, applicant in their whole family. Like you're there to help somebody get a prom dress when they don't have any money for prom dresses. Like you're there to help somebody that just broke up with their girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're like, the world is over. Like we're there to change the trajectory of people, and that's what I want to give back to. So that's really what I'm trying to get out there and share. That's the message, that we can do it. We're all in this together. You don't have to be alone in this, and you've got the ability to chart a vision and a path that people will follow, and it'll change the trajectory of just zip codes. We talk about changing the trajectory of our zip code. Like when you leave this school, you come back and you put a business down the road from our school, because we're going to revitalize in our community. And that's what it's all about. And I live in the community. And so it's easy to talk about because my neighbor is your neighbor. And that's it. So it's just really, I want to give back to that. And if there's a limited window that I can do it, I want to do it.
Thank you for sharing that. Profe, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, reach out to me, see if we could break bread the next 2 days. Thank you for asking that question. Sheikah Houston, part of the Fantastic Four, second show. Been breaking bread with her the last 2 days. Nice seeing you. Thank you for being here. Mari, take it away because I lost juice, so I got to go get my phone. Go.
Oh my Josh. Todd, let me tell you, I was getting chills just you talking, because that's exactly what principals should be doing, right? It's not just about the test scores. It's about really growing the community, really growing our kids, and providing. You were talking about the prom dresses, and I remember having to collect prom dresses for our kids who couldn't afford prom dresses, so that they can look beautiful and look pretty. And it's all the great things that we want our kids to enjoy and have. And so, oh my God, you were just talking, and I just remembered all those years that I was a principal, and you're absolutely right. So I'm super excited about, you sharing those experiences, because it brought me kind of reminiscing back to my days, because it is truly a neat experience. So Todd, I want you to finish this sentence for me. Okay. I wish people would have told me blank about the principalship.
I've used the saying already once tonight, but I wish people would have told me that you are responsible for everything, yet can control nothing. Like you can, we went to this year, we went bell to bell, no cell. So in the classroom, no cell phones during instructional time. I'm not collecting them. You can put them in your pocket, your backpack. If you can't do that, then a teacher's got a pocket. But we realize that you're there to learn, and we need to focus on learning. We realize cell phones are a problem. And I don't need Austin telling me what to do with the cell phone policy, because I developed my own cell phone policy that works on my campus. So I don't want to collect cell phones in the morning. I don't want to be responsible for that. Parents won't appreciate, that'll fail. Total failure. Another example of a social problem that the schools left to try to pick up and clean up. Okay. The night before the first day of school, I publicized it. The parents knew, teachers knew, students knew. I worried, what if every kid told me I'm good? What if every kid told me I'm not following your policy? I'm going to keep the phone out on my desk. I'm going to watch videos. I'm going to play games. I'm going to chat. I'm going to snap. I'm going to Instagram. What if? Because I can't control it. What am I going to do? Put 2,500 kids in ISS? That's not going to work. And so honestly, it was one of those things that you had to listen to kids. You had to make sure there was fairness and equity in what you're doing. You had to explain your why, and you had to be fair. Every teacher had to be bought in. And so I really thought, what if they didn't? Because there's nothing I could do. Mm-hmm. If they all said no, I would have to backtrack and not do that. Finish your sentence. What did they tell you? What did you wish they would have told you? You're responsible for everything, yet can control nothing. The Friday night football game, when the kids go to Whataburger and they trash Whataburger, I'm responsible somehow. The kid that is at the movie theater and talking during the movie and has a Churchill shirt on and might use profanity, I'm responsible for that because the parent sends out that to me. Right? I mean, you just like it can be
No, they snap the
overwhelming at times.
picture. They snap
Yeah,
the
they snap a
picture
picture.
shot, and then
Yes.
they send it
Yes.
to you.
And then they send it to me. And that can be overwhelming at times because you're like, for crying out loud. Like, am I not allowed to be a man on a Saturday night where I'm, not going from there? And so, just really, I wish they would have told me that because my first couple of years, all of that bothered me. But I really came to the realization I can't control everything. Kids are going to make mistakes. We'll deal with it. We'll handle it. We'll handle it face on. We'll teach the kids how to deal with it. And really, when you come to that piece, then it's okay. Kids are going to make mistakes. Tomorrow or 25 years from now, kids are going to make a mess at Whataburger after a big football game, right? It's not going to stop because Todd Bloomer is their principal or someone else is their principal. So really just realizing you can't control everything and you control what you can control, stress about what you need to stress about, and things you can't stress about, don't stress about it. And that's what I try to tell my assistant principals. Do you care what that parent thinks about you? Are you really worried about that? If you're not, then don't worry about it. Take one ear and out the other. Listen to them, move on from there. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
It is, but that's great advice, though. That is great advice. I remember when I was the high school principal, and there was this parent that came to my office, and she was screaming and yelling and going off, and doing this and pointing at my face. And my assistant principal looks at me, and so here I am calming down. Of course, I'm not screaming, I'm not yelling. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I understand. Yes, you're upset. Blah blah blah, right, kind of stuff. After she, calms down a little bit and she leaves, the assistant principal says, why didn't you let her do that? You should have told her that she was not, and professionalism. And I was like, why? Why are we going to go there? It's just going to blow her up even more, right?
100%.
Just calm, try to keep the situation calm. And at the end of the day, she ends up leaving, and we're going to somehow solve it, maybe over a text or a phone. But, but yeah, that sometimes we just have to teach our assistant principals not to make it even bigger than what it is.
Yeah, it can't be personal.
Yeah,
it can't be, and that's the hardest part. Because education's the only. If I owned a restaurant and you came into my restaurant and you told me how bad I sucked and how awful it was, I'd tell you to get lost. Here's your check. Don't come back. You're not welcome. And in schools, we can't do that. So in schools, that parent comes up and says, "You suck as a principal. You suck as a school. You're a terrible leader." And we have to sit back and we have to generally listen to that and be professional when they're not being professional.
yeah,
And that is so difficult to do.
yeah.
So difficult to sit there.
And don't you love the one taught in a 6A school where the seniors park in the community and they park in front of people's houses
Oh yeah.
and they take pictures of your kids parked in front of my house.
Yes.
Like I could do something.
Yep.
I can't do nothing.
Nope.
I'm not the cops. Call the
Yep.
cops.
Yep.
Or
You want
the-
me out there at 7:15 in the morning directing traffic a mile and a half from your, or not a mile and a half, 300 yards from the campus. Can't be everywhere.
Right.
Call the cops. Call the cops.
Right. Oh man. Audience, if us three could write down some of the things we faced, you would think Hollywood made it up.
That's right. That's right.
Hollywood has
Yeah,
nothing on the chair.
that's right.
Hollywood has nothing on the chair. But you know what? Everything good must come to an end. And so the way we end the show, the PGP podcast, sir, is with the Ganas questions. And you, my man, you're in San Antonio, so you do know. When I have guests from New Jersey, they don't know. When I have guests from Nebraska, they don't know. Ganas, you know, Todd, that's a spiritual word for Hispanics. You know that grandmas yell ganas to their kindergarten kid in Christmas when they're singing horrible songs. You know that a mom yells ganas to her son who's the starting pitcher in the bi-district game. Ganas is a word that's tied in. So I want you to answer the next 8 questions with ganas,
Let's go.
con corazón, and quick. It's a lightning round, bro.
Let's go.
All
Lightning.
right, it's not 10,000 minutes, all right?
You got it. You got it.
Except for question number 2, you could take your time on that. So here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Stay away from the negative folks. They're willing to embrace anybody on the campus. Find somebody that's doing a really good job and soak up everything they say, and you'll be successful.
Read a note, an email or a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Not necessarily a text or something, but last night at prom, I had numerous kids that wanted to take pictures with me, take a selfie with me. Some of them probably made me into a meme. Some of them I think were genuine with the pictures that they wanted to be around their principal. That meant a lot to me.
Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Lance Gropel. Lance Gropel is an assistant superintendent in Tyler, Texas. He was in Grapevine Colleyville Heritage as a principal. He's a mentor. He's a guy I reach out to. He's a thought partner. Just an all-around great dude.
Name one person people should follow on social media.
Well, I'll give Darren Peppard. Darren Peppard, I think, as we all know, Darren Peppard is a leading voice in culture and climate. He's our friend. He's a good guy. Josh, I would say you're a guy that people should follow. And, I think Broody Kafele, you brought him up, but I think his Saturday morning stuff he does is for free is just amazing to think that he's dropping such knowledge for people for free. And all you got to do is tune in at, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Agreed. What is one song, una canción, señor, no más una, that embodies your spirit as a person?
It goes in waves, but I would say currently a Willie Nelson genre that I'm on. And Willie Nelson has a song called Energy Follows Thought. And it really talks about self-talk and about what you tell yourself in a typical Willie way into, basically what you tell yourself is what's going to happen. And so the power of self-talk is so important for administrators and leaders and in what we have. So that.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
Favorite quotes. I saw one just recently from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is one of my favorite people in history, in anything, sports history, you name it. Just amazing. And he had a quote, something to the effect of show me a man who has no imagination, and I'll show you a man who has no wings. And I thought that was really a cool, like, if you can't envision it, it's not going to happen. If you can't dream it, it's not going to happen. And so show me a man who has no imagination, and I'll show you a man who has no wings.
What's your favorite cheat food or sweet?
I'm a pizza, hamburger, chicken wing guy. I could eat those three foods Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, repeat. I could eat them lunch and dinner. Pizza, when I go back to New York to go home, we eat at lunch and dinner every day. I'm there, different places. True pizza, a good hamburger, and good chicken wings.
What's your favorite TV show or book?
Right now it's Severance, Apple TV. If you haven't watched it, it's unbelievable. Probably all time, a combination of Sopranos, Law and Order, and the TV show The Office and Seinfeld. Any of those.
Love it. And how can people get a hold of the blueprint?
Let's go. You can go to toddmbloomer.com. It's my website. You can order a book off the website. You can go to Amazon. That's a lot quicker to get the book off of Amazon. You could connect with me on X or Twitter at Bloomer_SA. You could connect with me on Instagram at Todd_Bloomer_author. And you could connect with me on LinkedIn at Todd Bloomer. And so really easy. And I will also say anybody that's made it the whole nine yards tonight with us, just like you guys would do, if anybody needed any help, support, advice, talking through their next interview, talking through a situation, a scenario, a thought partner, reach out. I'll be more than happy to schedule time to, call you, text you, message you, Vox you, you name it. Like there's ways that we can communicate to be able to help each other out.
And he means that.
Mm-hmm.
Todd, stay on the call. Don't hang up right before we hang out. Here, we're closing off from North Carolina, sending everyone some blessings, sending out some love, tons of knowledge, just like all the other 45 shows. 45 shows, guys, and you've seen that it's all top-notch knowledge. It's top-notch free PD, and there is not one specific genre. You've got superintendents, bus drivers, assistant principals, and next week, educators that take care of their shell. Next week is going to be our Educator Fitness Show, part 2, second version of that. all of this knowledge for you for free. You don't need a PO. You don't need
That's
to ask your principal and your assistant superintendent to sign off on the trip. This is all a free trip on the computer. Check us out. Check out the Fantastic Four, Sean Hurt, Shika and Tammy, Principal Cafele, who will be here. He's having some airplane problems. And the bookend, PGP podcast, all free for you. Join us. And remember, starting April, there is a time change for the PGP podcast. We're going to 4 p.m. Central. And when it's football season, we're going to go back to later. That's just the facts, Jack.
Football. That's right.
Exactly. God bless you. Have a great start of the fourth quarter. A lot
Let's
of people
go.
are starting the fourth quarter. Last report card. You don't walk at the end. You sprint.
That's
to the
right.
finish
Finish.
line.
Finish
Let's
through
go.
the finish line. Let's go.
Say goodbye, everybody.